So you're concerned about your young one or yourself and video games. You're concerned that it's too violent or it's too addictive or any number of issues. Let me tell you quickly, there is a solution to your problems, and the biggest problem isn't even the video games themselves. A lot of parents want to restrict their kids from playing video games because they think that there is a world of danger there. Especially when it comes to things like, oh, video games are too violent, my kid's going to become violent. Let me just remind you that way back when, up to a few hundred years ago, the way that we socialized as kids and young people was by going outside, hitting each other with sticks, playing a war, roughhousing, going and riding our bikes down hills that were far too big for us, doing things that were significantly more dangerous. Violence has never been something that has been an issue. Video games do take the imagination and the creativity of that violence one step further than what we've experienced in the past. And certainly on that, I don't advocate to be letting your children play hyper-realistic violent games like Call of Duty or other stuff like Hunt Showdown. Love Hunt Showdown, but it's a very scary game and it's very, very graphic. Fortnite, Minecraft, these games that have stylized violence on a much lesser degree, depending on how old your child is, again, there's a certain limit there. The violence shouldn't be a problem. And secondly, you're talking about the addictive point of video games. Kids will always choose to do a less productive option. They're chasing the dopamine. They always have been. Nowadays, they chase the dopamine even more because we've instilled kids with a lot more fast dopamine fixes. So it's little bursts instead of bigger bursts of dopamine. But think about it. When you were a kid, when your grandparents were a kid, they would probably sneak out the house. They'd go ride their bikes through the neighborhood. They'd do anything other than their housework or their chores, right? Nowadays, the difficulty with technology and video games is it's so much more readily available. So there is that concern that you might, become addicted or do too much of it because it is that easy. I struggle with it so much. I do a lot of work on my computer. I'll do editing and all this kind of stuff. And I often find myself getting to these burnt out points where I'm I'm just going to play a game. So I'll edit for 15, 20 minutes and then I'll go play a game. And then that game accidentally turns into 2 games, and then 3 games, and then 4 games. Suddenly, I've worked for 20 minutes, and I haven't taken a 10-minute break, I've taken an hour break, right? These first 2 points, the biggest impacting factor, best solution, unfortunately, is self-regulation, or just regulation in general. If you're an individual who sees these issues, and you want to solve them in yourself, you're going to have to self-regulate. You're going to have to try to acknowledge where you have a problem and start to work through it. And if it's something that you can't work on alone, you need to have the humility to ask somebody else to walk you through it. Get somebody to help you to go through what you're doing. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a friend, a colleague. Basically, find someone in your life who you can get to help you through these things. If you're playing too many video games, get somebody who can pull you away from that. Do other social things with them. Have fun, but in a different area, right? And if you're a parent concerned about your child, you're not going to like this, but your solution is to parent better. At the end of the day, it's a parent's job to try and ensure that their child is self-regulating healthily. Kids don't learn how to regulate themselves properly until they're much older, right? Your kid is going to always want to do the impulse decision over the smarter decision. I even still struggle with that sometimes. And your child is so underdeveloped compared to where I'm at or where you're probably at. What you have to do is, if you acknowledge your child is gaming too much, don't simply ban them from it, because if you do that, they're just going to want to do it even more. They're going to rebel. But find ways to help them regulate, right? If they're not doing their homework and they're just playing too many video games, be like, hey, do half your homework, play a bit of video games. Do the other half, play some more video games. If you're finding on the weekends when they have nothing but free time, they're playing too much, then tell them, hey, What about you play for a few hours, or even just for an hour if you want to really regulate, and then, okay, we're going to do something outside. We're going to find something else to do that takes them away from technology. Create regulation, because they're not going to create regulation themselves. Now, we've covered those two, frankly, a little longer than I probably wanted to, but I'm going to hit on my main point. The biggest danger with video games like Fortnite is the sociability. Unfortunately, these video games, no matter what it is, Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, all these games directed to kids, still have adult players who are hiding behind avatars. Now, a lot of them have good intentions. They're not going to harm your child. But you never know when one is. And these interactions, these social interactions, they're not interactions that we had to deal with when we were a kid. Without video games, we didn't go out and have to worry about the chance that we're going to be engaging with adults. More often than not, I'll play a game and I'll be paired up with randoms in a group. We'll be talking, having a pretty mature conversation. Then all of a sudden, we'll realize that one of us is a child. And we'll go, hold up, wait a minute. We need to tone down what we're talking about. This isn't okay. We're getting a little bit too mature. Because at the end of the day, when I'm having a conversation, I'm not thinking about, well, I do nowadays because I'm a streamer and I have to consider that a lot. But typically, adults aren't considering the chance that there's a child playing with them, especially because most children don't have microphones. So you never really know. If you don't hear or speak to one of your teammates, you never know if they're actually an adult or not. And as a parent or as an individual, you need to be aware of the fact that these conversations can happen. And you need to figure out how to handle them appropriately. If people are talking about things that are a little bit too mature or outside of your sort of comfort zone, be able to either, one, remove yourself from the conversation, or two, engage in a conversation in such a way that says, hey, like, I'm not comfortable with this. Can we, like, tone it down, please? A lot of people will be willing to sort of, swear less or not talk about sexualized topics or whatnot if you ask them to. Now, there's a lot of folks who unfortunately just tell you to, deal with it. And in those instances, remove yourself from the situation, right? If you're a parent of somebody who is significantly younger, one thing that you can do to help protect them is turn off the chat features. You can turn off voice chat and text chat in most games. And that doesn't completely limit your child. Because your child could still play with people that they're familiar with. Everybody's playing video games. So I guarantee your kid or yourself, you can organize with some friends and play a game with people that you can trust, people that are your own age, and is a safe environment. As parents, we cannot be completely restricting our young ones. And as individuals, you can't completely restrict yourself. Video games and technology, it's a part of life. And at the end of the day, you can't just stop that. It's going to be there whether you like it or not. There have been so many movies about parents who get scared for their children, completely lock them away from society, tell them they have like secret diseases or whatnot. And then when the child is old enough to start figuring things out and start wanting to explore the world, all that these parents do by holding them back is typically compromise their immune systems, create children who have no idea how to handle real world problems, and ultimately set them up for failure. You want to survive. You want to thrive. As a parent, you want your kids to thrive. As an individual, you want to thrive. And you don't do that by simply hiding from every challenge. No, don't jump out of a plane without a parachute into a pile of spikes. Jump out the plane with protective gear, padding, and a parachute, helmet even, for extra protection. Because the situation may be dangerous, but there are things that you can do to make the situation safer. So no, video games are not the problem. how we approach them and how we engage with them, that's where we go wrong. So if you've found what we talked about today relevant, share it to someone you think could take some benefit from it. Comment something that you've noticed or something that you've thought within the video, and let's talk about it. I think there are not enough healthy conversations about these sort of things happening in our community, and we're creating dangerous environments for ourselves and others. So let's tackle that. Thank you guys. God bless. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, evening, morning, night, whenever you're watching this. And I look forward to tackling more topics like this in the future. Because gaming is awesome. And I want to sort of be able to do more of it in a safe way. All right. Till next time, guys. Have an awesome time.